Hello and welcome to this tutorial on 2D design key skills. Before we get any further, I just want to make sure you're familiar with the following commands. You'll need to know where the delete key is, where the shift key is. Sometimes you need to hold down the shift key. You'll also need to know the control key, and finally sometimes you need to left and sometimes you need to right click on the mouse. Make sure you listen to my instructions. To begin, we're going to go through the basics of how you open the software, how you save it, and how you set the page up. The laser cutter machine needs to know what size material you're cutting, whether it's A4, A3, and so on. And finally, I'm going to show you how we undo mistakes. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so you might have a 2D design icon on your desktop like this. If not, then you can just search for the software in your search bar. If you type in 2D design, it should come up, and then you just click on that to open it. You may get a box in the middle of the screen. If so, just click off to the side like that. First thing I want to point out, over here you've got a set of drawing tools. So for example, if I click on lines and I want you to do the same, I can just randomly draw a set of lines, clicking once, clicking twice. I want you to do the same. Over on the right of the screen, over here, you've got some other functions, for example, zooming in. So do that, zoom in. If you click zoom all, it will take you to the work you've just done. And if you click zoom media, it'll take you back to the page. Have a go at that, and then you'll know where the other functions are. And then I want you to save. It's really important that you save regularly. So click File, Save As, and I want you to save where the teacher tells you to. It's really important that you save regularly. Now, we also need to set the size of the page. The laser cutter needs to know what size material you're cutting. So to do that, click Setup, and then Drawing, Layout. Setup, Drawing, Layout, click that. And then it will give you the option of the size of page you can choose. As an example, let's click it and imagine it's A2, and then click OK. Now you'll notice there that page is now bigger because what I've actually drawn is actually smaller. Before you go any further, I just want to show you what you can do if you make a mistake. So for example, if I click on the cursor there and then highlight everything I've done by clicking and dragging, let's say I deleted that, but that was a mistake. You can do that yourself. If you make that kind of mistake, just go Edit and then click Undo, and it will come back. So I would save your work now. If you make any mistakes, just remember, click Edit, Undo, and then Save. Okay? Right, give that a go. See how you get on. Okay, now we're going to look at drawing objects of an exact size. To do that, you need to set up the page grid, which is the dots on the screen. You're going to draw some shapes, for example, square, triangle, oval shapes, and you're then going to make sure these are an exact size. Okay, so when I left you, you should have a page that looks something like this. First thing I want you to do now is get rid of these lines, because we're going to do something different. So if you click on this Delete Any button, I want you to delete those two lines. That's a way of deleting things. I also want you to change the page setup again, just so that you're really familiar with that. So click Setup, Drawing, and then Layout, and we're going to go back to A3, and then OK. Right. Now, if you go on these drawing options here, there's a button called Shapes, and what we're going to do is we're going to practice making shapes of an exact size. So if I click and hold, and then click on the rectangle option, I can now draw a rectangle by clicking and dragging. Now if you notice it's not on the dots, that's not accurate. So I'm going to delete that, and I want you to use these dots. These are evenly spaced. Now to change the spacing of the dots, you can double click on this grid button, so please do that. Double click there, and I want you to change the spacing to 5 millimeters. Just click 5 instead of 10, and then OK. and those dots are now closer together. The other thing I want you to do is press grid lock. Now when I draw, it's going to go straight to those dots and it will be accurate. Keep an eye also on here. It says rel. Keep an eye on those rel numbers. They tell you the size of the box you're drawing. So if I do a rectangle first of all, click on the shapes button and let's have rectangle. I want you to find a dot and then I want you to make it an exact rectangle of 80 across and then minus 100 down. So if you look, use these rel numbers to help you at the bottom. I wanted 80 across and 100 down, that's it, and I'll click again. Right, that's an exact size. Once you've done that, we're going to go with a different shape now. If you click and hold, we're going to go with the elliptical Bezier with a given center. Okay, so click that option. Again, just click on a random point, and now I want you to use these rel numbers at the bottom. I want you to go across 25 and then up 10 and then click. Alright, at this point it's a good idea to save, so click on this icon to save. Don't forget when you're doing this, you're using the rel numbers to check the sizes. If you make any mistake, just delete what you've drawn. Now I think we'll go with a polygon, which is a shape with a set number of sides. So if we go draw a polygon with a given center and vertex, let's go 8 sides. Make sure that says 8 and then OK. Let's just click on a random dot and we're going to go up 2 dots, 1, 2. If you look at your rel numbers, that should now be 10. So down here that should have said 10 a second ago. So now we've got an octagon that has a radius of 10 millimeters. Now let's try a circle. If you double click on the circle button, which is just above there, double click on that and you can set the radius. Let's set that to 10 for example, and then click OK. I can now place a circle. I have to click twice. Click once and then again. That's given me a circle. And finally let's do a triangle. So if you click and hold on these options and let's go to triangle, and again you're going to have to use your rel numbers down at the bottom here. I want you to draw a triangle with a base 20, so if I go across 20 and then a click, and then I go up to 25 and then click, I've got several shapes there given with exact dimensions. Okay, let's save here, and I want you all to get to that point. Okay, now we're going to go through some basic editing tools. I'm going to show you how to move an object, how to copy something, how to resize it, how to rotate, and finally how to mirror. So let's have a go. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is actually I'm going to click zoom all, and that's got me closer into all the objects. First thing we're going to do is move some of these objects. So if you click on the cursor here on the left, click that, and then we're going to start with the Bezier, the oval shape. I want you to click on that. Now you see these yellow boxes have come up around. To move it, you need to click on the center yellow box. Okay, click that, and then you can reposition it. Something like that. Okay. We're going to also click on the triangle. And again, we're going to move it by clicking on the middle yellow box, and let's put that somewhere central like that. And now we're going to go with the circle. So if I click on the circle again, let's move that, and let's save whilst we're here. If you just click save, as you can see we're starting to make a face, but I need another eye. Now I could just draw another circle, but to be accurate I want to copy it, and to do that you can click these 2 yellow boxes here and then that will copy. So click those 2, it gives me another one, and I can just reposition like that. Okay, now for the ears I'm going to use this oval shape, so I'm going to move this into position sort of around here, but actually that's That's just an over. That looks a bit weird as an ear. So I'm going to firstly click on it, and now I'm going to teach you how to resize. So if you click on an object like this corner yellow box, and you hold down the control key, sorry, the shift key, let me try again, click on the object, and then click on the shift key, hold it down, that'll allow me to click it and it can just enlarge. I don't want it enlarged looking at this now. What I want to do is just make it a bit longer. So if you click on this grip point, you can resize it like that. Maybe I want to make this a bit smaller. Okay, you choose. Once you've resized it, I'm going to rotate it. So again, I'm going to click on it. If you click on this circle, you can rotate it. I'm just going to go around like that, and then I'm going to move it into position so it looks like an ear. Alright, great. Let's save. Now click on save. Now it's going to be difficult for me to make an exact copy on the other side. So to make an exact copy, first of all, we'll use this copy function by clicking on the two yellow boxes, and then I'm going to mirror it. If you click on this flip button here, it will actually change the direction, and I can move it over and click again. There you go. I've got what's starting to look like a face. So I'm going to save now. Okay, now we're going to move on to drawing lines. We're going to start with some straight lines and zigzags. We'll also look at how you draw curves, how you transform lines. That means copying them multiple times at a set distance, deleting, and then finally we're going to look at contouring, which means drawing something outside of a shape that's exactly the same shape but bigger. Right, so let's give that a go. Follow what I do. Right, at this point I want you to go on the lines option, click and hold, and go for draw a series of connected lines. We're going to add some hair to this face. If you go to the top left corner of the rectangle, click, and I want you to click at sort of random points here, so that it looks like a sort of messy hairstyle. It's really up to you how you do it. This is all left clicking, and then when you're done, you left click, and then if you right click and then press escape, you're done. So you've now got a bunch of straight lines, and that was using this lines option. We can also add curves. If we go to path and we click this open Bezier curve option, we're going to zoom in on an ear, and again by clicking on these dots at certain points, what you can do is actually make quite a unique pattern, and then when you're done, again right click and then escape. Right, that's like the inner details of an ear, and that's using this curve function. Again, I need to repeat this on the other side, so I'm going to copy it and then I'm going to flip it using that button and reposition this on the other ear so that it looks very similar. That's about right, isn't it? Right, let's save that now. Click save. Right, now I'm going to show you how to do something called transforming. That means copying a line multiple times. So if we were to give this mouth teeth, for example, I'm going to draw a single line now, and I want you to draw a line to the left of the mouth like that. Now I could just draw individual teeth across the mouth there. Let's do a horizontal line as well. I could draw that multiple times, but there's a special tool called transform. If you click on the line like so, and then click draw, and then transform towards the bottom and move copy. If you click repeat 10 times and then OK, what I want you to do is click on the top of the line and then go one dot to the right and then click again. See how it's repeated that multiple times? Now I can just delete the outer lines. So if you click on delete any, hold it down and then go for the second option, which is delete part of an object between the two nearest intersections. Now I can just click, 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 and keep doing that as carefully as I can to get rid of all these little bits. Now if you make a mistake, for example, if you delete that by mistake, just go edit, undo. Remember, you can only do that once. So you do the same, delete all these lines, so you're left with what looks like a mouth with some teeth. Okay, we'll save it there, and let's see what's next. Before I go any further, I'd just like to show you another tool called double path. So let's have a look at that. You should have a face which looks something like this. I'm just going to show you this double path option. If you click on that, you should have a box that mine's come up in the bottom left of the screen. We're going to do the open line option. You might need to double click actually to check the settings. We're going to have a 5mm line, and we're going to have end start cap butt and end cap butt. Okay, that's fine. Right, if I now click on a series of lines like so, I could go at an angle, and then when I'm happy, if I right click, it's actually just drawn a series of lines in a box, which is handy. That's like an eyebrow, so if I click on the object, I could again copy it using that feature and then flip it round and then move it into position. That's pretty handy. One other thing that might be useful is the contour button. If you click here, contour, that will come up with a box. Let's change the contour spacing to say 3mm and then OK. If you click just outside a shape, it will then draw another set of lines. Let me just show you what it would look like if I clicked around the outside of the whole box. It's just gone around the whole thing. That's quite cool actually, so I think I'll save that. So click save. Okay, what's next? Okay, the final thing we're going to look at today is changing the colours of some lines. Now this is important because depending on the colour of the line, the laser cutter will either cut something out, engrave it, or it will raster, which means raster is like shading. We're also going to import some images, so I'll show you how to copy them in, and then vectorizing. That's converting an image to a series of lines, because the laser cutter can't cut pictures out, it has to cut lines. So let's have a go at that. Okay, so I'm now going to show you how to change the color of items. So if I zoom in a bit by clicking zoom all, I'm going to click on all of these lines at the top. So if you select one, that's just selected and it's turned pink to let me know I've selected it. If you hold down on the shift key now, you can actually select multiple items, and that's just by holding shift. So you could do that. When you've got everything selected and you're happy with that, if you go up to here it says col, that refers to line color. If you click on that and then you just change it to whatever color you want, you'll notice it changes. Equally, you could just click and drag over an object, let's say the inner part of that ear, and again just go up to color here and change it. It's best to use these colors at the bottom. Okay, right, it's a good idea to save your work then. The other thing you might want to do is fill an object in. If you remember, I had the double path option, which was some like eyebrows there. I just deleted them temporarily. If you wanted to fill that in, if you go up to here where it says fill and then you click solid, you can actually select a color and then press OK, and then it will actually color items in. And again, if I wanted to copy and then flip that, that gives you an idea of how you could fill an object. Okay, so I would save your work then. And the final thing I wanted to show you is how you import an image. So if you go on the internet and just search for something, I've just typed in cartoon monkey. What you want is an image that's quite simple with very few colors. And if you right click on that object and then copy image, and then you go back into 2D design and then find yourself a space and then right click and paste, you then have the image in 2D design. Now the laser cutter can't actually print, it can't cut images, it can only cut lines. So to convert that to a series of lines, you have to do this process of going bitmap, vectorize bitmap, and then click on the object. Now that might take a moment, but what it's doing there is it's converting it from a picture to a series of lines. So just give that a second. Right, eventually you should end up with a box that will look something like this, and you can adjust the number of colors that are shown, okay, to make it a simpler image. Or to make it really easy, if you click monochrome, then it just changes everything to black and white, and you can adjust the luminance to make it seem clearer. Right, once you've got it looking something like that, you click OK, and then it will actually convert it to those lines. Again, this might take a minute. Okay, once the image has been converted, if you click on it and then click up here where it says fill, and then just take the fill off, so no fill, and then OK, what you've got there is a block that the laser cutter, some lines that the laser cutter can actually cut. If you wanted to, say, get rid of this box line around the outside, what you'd have to do is click on it. If you right click, or not right click, sorry, if you go to edit and then explode, edit explode, and then continue, you should be able to then separate, let's say that box now I can delete, and these should be individual items. See, the arm is different to the tail. So to make that one object again, if you drag over everything and then you go edit group, then that is one object again. So if I click on the arm, the whole thing is highlighted, and that means I can move it as I wish. Okay, you are now done for these basic skills. The final thing to do, I just want you to write some text to say that. So you click on the ABC text button here, and I want you to click at a random point and write 2D tutorial complete. Okay, and then OK. If you click settings, you can change whatever font you want, but I'm just going to leave it as it is. I might take the fill off for my font, and I might make the line color blue, for example. It's up to you. You can change the font, you can do what you want, and then click OK, and then OK. You'll end up with the text, and that can be incorporated in whatever you design. Okay, so save your work, save regularly, play around, see what these other tools do, and you can use these skills to work independently. Okay, best of luck.